This episode is brought to you by Laura V. Thank you so much for donating to our Kickstarter. You made our dreams come true.
And as a little something special for you, we're going to do a little something I like to call improvised across-sticking. Hit it. L is for
Lovely. A is for
awesome sauce. U is for
unique. R is for
really loud. A is for
absolutely the greatest.
yay. We love you.
We love you, Laura. Thanks again for donating.
Oh! The space goes down, down, baby, down, down the roller coaster. Sweet, sweet baby, sweet, sweet, don't let me go. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa bop, shimmy, shimmy, rock. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa bop, shimmy, shimmy, rock. I met a girlfriend, a Trisket. She said a Trisket, a biscuit, ice cream, soda, pop, vanilla, ooh, Shalita, walking down the street, 10 times a week. I met it, I said it, I stole my mama's credit. I'm cool, I'm hot, sock you in the stomach 3 more times.
Hey guys, you're listening to the Large Marge Sent Us podcast. And on today's show, a little something we like to call Big. B-I-G.
Big. Made in 1988 by the famous director Penny Marshall.
Famous person, Penny Marshall.
Yeah.
She's pretty famous.
She's pretty famous. Her brother just died.
I wonder how she's doing.
She's probably doing okay. I haven't
Penny.
chatted her in a while, but, you know, she's a strong lady. But Big. Oh, shit, guys. This movie is, I know we say, like, this isn't my top 5. No, this isn't my top 5. This is in my top 5. No joke.
Yep. It's been a family favorite of ours since it came out, probably.
Yeah. Our dad loved this film so hard. If our dad was alive today, no doubt you'd say, hey, Ron Dumas, what's your favorite movie? And he'd go, Big.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Ron Dumas, the original member of the Sweetie Club.
And thank you, Dad, really, for introducing us to all of these movies. Because
Yes.
I think really, like, I don't know, that guy just had his finger on the pulse of amazing 80s films. And
Record button when he illegally recorded all of these so we
Right.
could watch them
which
all
we
the
have
time.
mentioned a couple times. So thank you,
you,
Dad,
Dad.
for breaking the law so we could be, like, culturally enriched as children. You rock.
Love you.
Love you.
But yeah, so
Yep. So let's start with the synopsis. Yeah.
Sweetie synopsis, take 1. Josh Baskin is young, but he
How
wants.
young is he?
You can't just dive into my synopsis.
you a question.
He's 12. Wants to be older because if you're older, you can go on amusement park rides that pretty girls are on with their 16-year-old boyfriends who drive. Hence the reason why all of the things in this movie get put into motion. Because Josh, unhappy in that moment, stumbles across a Zoltar machine, which, if you don't know, is a terrifying thing, creepy devil eyes, that is in like a weird spot in the carnival away from everything. You make a wish, and it spits out a little card that says your wish is granted. Supposedly your wish is granted. Normally your wish is not granted, but in this case, Josh's wish was granted. What was his wish, sweetie?
His wish was to be big. And big means to Josh Baskin 35 years old, and he looks like Tom Hanks, which is pretty cool.
Let me just point out that thank God Zoltar got it right, because big could mean several things. I'm very shocked that it meant the thing that he wanted it to. It could have meant that he turned into a giant and rose like 20 feet high. It could mean he got really fat all of a sudden.
Yeah, Zoltar knows how to read a room. He knew the mood. He knew what happened. I mean, he's Zoltar. He's all-powerful Zoltar, whoever he is.
I think he's the devil. Back to the synopsis. Cute. Cut to the next morning. Josh Baskin wakes up as Tom Hanks. I mean, as an adult. He's big. He did it.
He did it, but he's mildly freaking out. So he goes back to the carnival location. It's gone. Carnival has moved on. His old time machine, no longer there. Comes in, meets his mom, and goes, "Hey, Mom, it's Josh." She flips out, pulls out a knife. Shit gets crazy. He runs away. He's his best friend, Billy Francis Kopecki, who he meets up, goes to meet him up at the high, I guess he's in junior high. The junior high. Billy freaked out because he's like, who's this weird adult trying to molest me? They do this awesome thing where they do, and should we do that now or later? Because we know it, so we can just do it.
I guess we can just do it.
Okay, ready? The space goes down, down, baby, down by the roller coaster. Sweet, sweet baby, sweet, sweet, don't let me go. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, shimmy, shimmy, rock. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, shimmy, shimmy, rock. I met a girlfriend, a Trisket. She said a biscuit, a Trisket. Nice tree soda pop, banana on the top. Ooh, Shalita, walking down the street 10 times a week. I said it, I'm so much credit. I'm cool, I'm hot. Sock you in the stomach 3 more times. So that's how he proves to Billy, his friend, that he's actually Josh and not a 35-year-old weirdo dude. They hatch a plan to move to New York for a little bit, hide out in this crazy nasty hotel, and they're gonna figure out where this old time machine is and fix it all up. Meanwhile,
Josh needs a job. However, what kind of job can a 12-year-old get in this city? I ask you. How about a computer programmer? But wait, Josh is so lucky because they find a job posting for a computer programmer at a toy company. Toys. Wooga wooga wee, Jax. So he goes to apply at the toy company, which begins Josh's the luckiest. Just so many things play in his favor in this. It's really ridiculous.
the stars align, if you will.
So he gets the job, which proves that you do not need any education, really, to get a job. This
or a correct social security number.
Right. This and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead really taught me that you don't need to go to college or anything because you can just become an adult.
Why did we? What a waste.
Well, because now you need to, but back then, I guess you didn't. That wasn't like a requirement. Well, he did because he said, "What school did you go to?" But it wasn't on the application.
No, I don't know. But the whole job interviewing process in this movie is whack.
Seems a little weird.
I don't know what it was like in 1988, but
well, he's just a computer programmer
stuff
too.
has changed.
So I guess it's just entry level data processing. So he gets this little job. He gets his first paycheck for $187, which is a big deal to him, obviously, because he's a child and it's 1988. He celebrates by going to, well, I guess this is later, but he goes to FAO Schwartz, bumps into his boss, the Macmillan of Macmillan Toys.
Yep. Played by Robert Loggia.
Amazing.
Love him. Also just died this year.
What?
Yes.
I thought that was a while ago.
Oh, remember Tom Hanks put on Twitter, like, the scene of them.
Oh, God.
So the iconic scene happens, which is probably everyone is really familiar with. I think it's the most famous one coming out of this movie, where they play Heart and Soul on the floor piano. It's an amazing scene. And I remember when we went to go visit FAO Schwartz in New York, we wanted to duplicate it. That is not what the piano looks like there. Sorry to crush everybody's dreams. Anyway, so the CEO or owner of Macmillan Toys is like, this guy is rad. Because he's basically, I mean, he is a kid in a man's body, but he's ideal for a company that's looking for, like, feedback on their toys. So he gets elevated from data processing to vice president. Sick.
Well, not one of many vice presidents in a big company.
But vice president of, I forget what it is again. Like
market test
testing,
research, something.
yeah.
Basically, he just has to play with toys all day, which is another amazing stroke of luck because he doesn't need to do anything except play with toys and then tell people what he thinks about them. Pretty genius. Yeah. So, along the way, Josh ends up basically turning into an adult, which is very sad. And his friend...
And what is the reason for this?
Because he meets a girl, a girlfriend. They do it. They do the deed. They have sex.
Yeah.
They knock boots.
It's a pretty, like, turning point. So the girlfriend is played by Elizabeth Perkins. And the scene basically where they do it, and then immediately he turns into a man. He only drinks black coffee, and he starts wearing suits and going to dinner parties. And they're like, wow, what is this? Like a week turnaround from when you were kids? It's a a little nuts, but whatever. So then he's like big shot, like in the toy world, blah blah blah. Everyone like loves his ideas, and but then his friend finally. So throughout this, the reason the timeline of this movie is they're waiting for this list to come of where the Zoltar machine is. So they want to find this Zoltar machine, but they had to send away, and it took 6 weeks to get the list of where this Zoltar machine is.
Plus a month for processing.
No.
1 month for processing.
You'll get it in 6 weeks.
So does that mean a month plus 6 weeks?
No. It was a month, and then the 2 weeks are just like added on. No, 6 weeks. So the whole
Sometimes
timeline,
longer, but you could get lucky.
the whole timeline of the film is 6 weeks. Because when it starts, it's like beginning of school, and that's like really into fall, I think. Yeah.
Fine.
So anyway, so they finally get the list, and his friend Billy Francis Kopecki comes and says, "Dude, we got the list. Time to come back and become a child." And Josh Baskin, like Tom Hanks, is like, "Fuck no, I'm boning my girlfriend, like, and I'm an adult. I don't want to do it." But then gets really nostalgic and goes back to his old school and sees all the stuff he's missing, and then he's like, "Hell no, I don't want to be an adult anymore. It sucks." Other than touching boobs and stuff.
And having like your own place, an apartment, as many
that
toys
stuff
as you
too.
want, whatever. But ultimately, it sucks being an adult.
Yeah.
So he goes to the Zoltar machine, makes his wish again, which I wonder what his wish was this time. I want to be small. And then, like, what if Zoltar was like, ha! Didn't take her that long. I'm surprised. I would have been like, giant suit. It's very funny. Every time I buy a coat that's a little too big, I'm always like, it's like I'm Josh Baskin turning back into a child. On a scale of 1 to 10, how creepy do you think Elizabeth Perkins felt when she saw him turn into an actual child?
I think her face says it all when she goes, "So how old are you? 15? 16?
You
and
wish.
Then Rennie goes, 13. And he actually just turned 13
so
because
he's
it was
really
his
12.
birthday. So he's really 12 for most of it. I don't think once they were doing it, but yikes, Elizabeth Perkins.
Still not allowed.
Stature rape for you. Sorry.
So bad. One of the other things that very creepy about this movie is that if you think about the fact of how Josh's mom feels, like what was she thinking when she, like, he calls her at work and it's like a very normal conversation. He's like, "You're gonna see him real soon, I promise." Creepy, right? Like, what are they doing? What is he doing with her child?
And they get letters from him. So he like decides to write them letters. And he's like, "It's a lot like camp." Wherever he is,
Right.
nobody knows.
His mom's like, "What?" And then at the end of the movie, he's in his big suit and he walks in the door and he's like, "Mom," his mom. Can you imagine? His mom must have been like, "What the fuck child molesting camp were you at where they made you put a suit on and dress like a man?"
too big.
It's too big. So creepy, right? So creepy. So I don't know. And then what did he tell them? Like, did he have to talk to the cops and like tell them where he was? I would like to know what happened after he walked in, personally.
That's a whole nother
That's
movie.
the movie I want to see.
That's an episode of Special Victims Unit, Law and Order, right there.
Yeah. And then they find out at the end, it was just the Zoltar machine. I made a wish.
So they put me in a big suit and made me work at a toy company. It was awful.
John Lovitz was there.
John Lovett.
He was super creepy.
John Hurd was really like a jerk to me.
Man, that guy.
So Andre, what is your favorite? Wait, actually, I have like a really random question. Mm-hmm. In Josh's sick penthouse, it's not a studio apartment, but it's like no rooms to it. I don't know what you call that. So once he's VP, yeah, he gets he has a loft, so it's all open. It's just, like, I don't even know how much money he was making. It must have been absurd. So my question is, what is your favorite cool thing that he buys for that apartment that you wanted as a kid? Watch this, you're like, yeah, I want blank if I had the apartment.
The blow up Godzilla doll.
Just kidding.
Machine. Except,
Like, that is so cool.
well, who fills it up and who pays to get it filled up again? Also, can I get a Coke machine? Do I need a Pepsi machine? Because I fucking
Pepsi's
hate
sick.
Pepsi so much.
Yeah, no. That was mine too. I just
Okay.
thought that was the coolest thing. And I mean, I guess maybe we didn't drink a lot of soda as kids. I feel like we did, but
Not a ton.
I liked it on the on-demand thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And you
Pinball machines,
didn't need quarters.
Didn't need quarters for anything.
Yeah, sick apartment. Also, okay, so what is your favorite scene? And it can't be the piano one.
I just made a farting noise with my hand because I was so exasperated from trying to figure out what my favorite scene was. But I think that it is. It's hard. You go first. I'll think about it.
Man, I asked you first because I didn't know.
Everything is my favorite.
Yeah.
Well, no. Everything is my favorite except for when he starts turning into a serious adult. I feel like it gets a little boring.
So boring.
You're like, snooze fest,
Yeah.
suits, bleh.
Though, I mean, good for the director. That was on, like, a really tiny part of the end. One of my favorite scenes is when he shows up at the, it's not a holiday party. I guess it's just a random, like, what is that party? It's a sick office party that they, like, have in this beautiful restaurant. Everyone wears tuxedos. And he rents this amazing white tuxedo with, like, long tails. Completely white.
Circus ringmaster.
Yeah. Glitter all over it. Comes into the party, just like first party basically ever because he's 12. And then there's this amazing scene where he's talking with Elizabeth Perkins and she's like, oh, the CEO, gets this beluga caviar every year. Like, you have to try it. So he just like puts on a cracker and puts it in his mouth and proceeds to like spit it out, choke on it, spit it out, and then starts wiping his tongue off with a napkin. And goes, this is my dad's favorite part by far. This is probably why it's mine. And the woman's like, are you okay? Like, can I get you something to drink? And he goes, can I have a milkshake or something? To like coat his tongue because there's nasty fish eggs on it. If you've ever had caviar, like, it is pretty nasty. I mean, it's salty and fishy and nothing a 12-year-old would like. It's an amazing scene.
That is, that's definitely one of my favorite things as well. I also love when they go to the sketchy apartment in New York City, which New York City in the 80s, terrifying. I'm so shocked that they survived that scene. But he goes to this really seedy hotel.
Hotel.
Motel is when you pull up your car, right?
Doesn't matter.
I think it does because it's like mobile hotel, like mobile.
They're interchangeable now.
We'll look that up.
Yep.
At the front desk is a guy who is not Emilio Estevez, even though I totally thought he was when I was little. It's a really terrifying guy. He burps into the thing, like, we need a room, and he goes, "That'll be $17.50 a night plus $10 deposit for the sheets." And we are like, today we know why there's a $10 deposit for the sheets, and I don't want to talk about it. It's pretty gross. But let's just say there's probably a lot of prostitutes. That is why. But that scene I always think of when I first moved to Boston. I lived in a not so great neighborhood in Jamaica Plain. And the first couple nights I was there, my older sister, not this sweetie, different, she was a waitress, so she went to work at night. So I was by myself there with my cat. And I definitely heard gunshots one night. And I was definitely like Tom Hanks in this movie is when he's like cowering in his bed, like crying, and it's just so terrifying. He's like, I just want to be home. That's exactly how I felt. I still feel it happens in my apartment. I'm all alone. You cry, right? You're like, I miss my mom, Mercedes rule.
Well, it's a great scene because, like, you have to remember, you forget a little bit during the movie that he's like a 12-year-old kid. Like, what would that be like to just be alone, going to your first job? Like, you're terrified of your first job when you're 22. Can't imagine when you're 12 and you're like, yeah. I mean, part of it is like you don't know any better. So I think that was like what really led him through his naivete about all that stuff. But yeah, like, unbelievable.
And this is another case, this movie, where we pretty much will say every quote from this movie on a daily basis. Like, I feel like once a day we use maybe 5 quotes from this movie. That's just a day. A month, probably all of them, right? Some of our favorites are our old apartment used to have the chain lock, so every night before bed, well, almost every night, even when you weren't there, I would still say it to myself. I'd say, I'd use the chain if I were you. That's a good one.
And along that same scene, like the guy like shows him the room and everything and is like, okay, like, have a nice night. And then he walks by the bathroom and he like knocks on the door. He goes, hey, Angel, get out of that bathroom now. And I would always do that to Andre, like she was in there like pooping or something.
Hey, TMI. I was peeing.
Everybody poops.
Whatever. Yes, you would do that. We also use the Josh, that's gross a lot. Also, what is this? When he finds the busk, we like to use that frequently, all the time. Their lines, they're just the way they're delivered they're so great. So they can fit in all these different situations seamlessly. It's wonderful. It's so much.
Yeah. There's a lot to quote. It's just so quotable. Yeah. What else did you took some notes here. I was not. I was too busy drinking red wine.
I went through most of them.
Do you have any like I mean, I think we pick apart stuff on these movies a lot. We're like, that's like crazy. Like that would never happen. Like blah, blah, blah. Didn't we bring that up a couple times in this?
Maybe. Well,
Logisticals.
Well, not this, but this has always been a question of mine. How come in the beginning it takes overnight, and then at the end he just takes 3 or 4 steps and he's a child again? Like that transition seems to take so much shorter. I know it's because of the story, the line. It can't just like turn into an adult. What if you're turned into an adult and like his parents dropping him off back at home? They're like, all right, son, see ya, good night. And then all of a sudden he's just Tom. So I understand it, but always a question.
I have a couple of questions. I just saw them rapid fire. Okay. Why? Okay, he turns into an adult in the middle of the night. He's still wearing his like little tiny peewee underwear. Why doesn't they like split? They just
gross, and you can't have naked Tom Hanks.
Okay. Next, how does Billy Kopecki come into the city like every day after school?
Maybe his family, maybe his bus pass. They live close enough to the city that you can like he must have. Maybe they have a bus pass, and it works for the city bus.
No. Remember, because they like Billy has to steal money from his dad, and Josh is like, "Where'd you get this?" No, I thought it was like he goes, "What do you call this?" And then the bus, it's like a Greyhound that pulls up.
No, he's saying it's only for emergencies. What do you call this? It's an emergency.
Okay. I thought it was directly related to the bus pulling up. Okay, number 3. Okay, he makes $187 on a paycheck. Is that bi-weekly or weekly? Because if it was bi-weekly, that is not a lot of money at all. And I know this is 1988, but that's crazy to me.
We'll have to ask John Lovitz. He'll tell us.
I mean, you're making less than $200. You're making... Sorry. I mean, that's less than $400 a month.
I just got excited because I thought of another question. Yep. Why is John Lovitz still at that job after 5 years?
Are you surprised by that? It's John Lovitz. Please.
Oh, it's another favorite part of ours, too. Just actually really great role for John Lovitz. I mean, it's just a classic. Just good. He's like, oh, that's another thing I say to myself constantly. I'm always like, pace yourself slowly.
Okay, I have two more, too. So... Whenever so there's a scene where he's interviewing for the job and they're filling out this like job application. And he has to put down like his social security number, doesn't know it, so he gets Billy Kopecki's locker combination. And then there's this guy in this other chair, and they're like, hey, they're like, look what does he got? What's he got? And Andre and I like say that all the time when we're like creeping on people, or like maybe on the bus or in like waiting rooms. And then same scene. So Tom Hanks get called up to go the interview. The receptionist comes and it goes, Josh Baskin, and he's like comes up, and Billy thinks he's gonna come with him. So the receptionist goes, oh, your son can wait here, and they just start cracking up that like anyone would ever think that Billy was his son when they're just friends. And we had this thing like years ago. I had like an eye appointment, and Andre came with me. I don't know if I wasn't. You just came with me just to come, right? And yeah. So the reception comes out, and she goes, your friend can wait out here. We just turned to each other and started cracking up, even though like obviously Andre could be my friend, but we're not friends. We're sisters.
Could be his son.
I know.
He's young enough. It was just funny because
so
she said it.
Connected.
She said it like the exact same way that the lady did in that scene.
Good.
It's probably one of like top 10 greatest of our friendship.
We're like full circle. It's real.
So amazing. So good. But yeah, it taught me a lot about life. It taught me about the movie The French Connection, which I would always be like, what movie is that? It looks scary.
Good soundtrack. I'd say in general, this movie has some kind of cool songs. When the mom is vacuuming, the Chattanooga Choo Choo. I was on IMDb,
is this
yeah.
the IMDb trivia?
No, this is not the IMDb trivia, but this is just one thing I learned. She's the actress is Mercedes Rule, and she's uncredited on the soundtrack as singing the Chattanooga Choo Choo because she just is like vacuuming and singing it, but she's singing it, and it's awesome. But I also love the Billy Idol song, and I love the song when they're in the limo too. Hot in the City.
Hot child in the city
no.
tonight.
Oh, it's Hot Child in the City? Pretty sure. No, it's just Hot in the City. Hot Child? Hot in the City tonight.
Look into that. And Forget Me Not on the trampoline, which when I was older, I was like, what? Wow, Will Smith copied that song or something. Or I thought it the other way around, and I was like,
did you read the trivia about this?
no.
So the trivia is Barry Sonnenfeld, who directed Men in Black, worked on this movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And the Forget Me Not song is the when they're jumping on the trampoline, and then the Men in Black, Will Smith samples that for the Men in Black song. Such a good song. Coincidence? I think not.
Wow, what a scandal. Here's some more IMDb trivia. Other people they considered for the role of Josh Baskin were
See if you can remember all these.
Robert De Niro, Bobby De Niro. What? Ultimately, he was their first choice.
I think it went as far. Did you read the thing about
Well, he wanted $6 million, and the studio was like, hell no. And Tom Hanks was like, I'll do it for $2 million. And they hired him. Other people they considered
Wait,
were...
did you also read about how the little kid who played young Josh Baskin was cast to play Billy because he didn't look like Robert De Niro, which, like, he doesn't look like... Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't a switch of a role. Like, he was, like, cast after that. But then once Tom Hanks was cast, they're like, wow, you look so much like Tom Hanks. Like, you'll get to be the Josh character. Other people, Steve Guttenberg, which out of all of those, probably the most passable one. Here's one that is not passable. Gary Busey. So bad.
What were they thinking?
So bad.
Granted, he was normal, sort of, back then, so it was okay. But still, weird.
Harrison Ford.
Harrison
I don't
Ford.
think he could have done the, like, childlike acting very well.
Which is is so difficult, and there's a lot of movies like this. Let's talk about this, but it is very difficult for, I think, the adult to capture the childlike mannerisms without coming off as kind of over the top. In my opinion, I think Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't do it so well in the remake.
I think in Judd, whatever.
And Judd, okay, our other favorite movie, Vice Versa.
But I don't think he does a good job.
Fred Savage and Judge. That weird name.
What was his last name?
Judgy.
We'll cover that.
Judgy
in a couple
Wudgy.
weeks, but
Judgy
yeah.
Wudgy is the kid, but he's so over the top kid. He's like, oh, man, it's not realistic. Tom Hanks is so realistic. And another trivia fact is, I guess they acted all the scenes. They had the kid that plays young Josh do the scene as he would a child, and then Tom Hanks would kind of recreate it as an adult.
Which I'm surprised about, because I feel like maybe they would do that for 1 or 2 scenes, and then he would kind of like get the hang of it. Tom Hanks is a good enough actor where, like, you don't. I remember there's a part where his mom is. He calls his mom up and is like, Josh is okay. He's calling him up as an adult, her up as an adult, and she's like, sing to me what you used to sing. I used to sing to him as a little boy. And, like, the look on his face, so he doesn't know it at first, and then there's, like, this realization, he, like, thinks of it, and you can just see him, like, realizing what it was.
He's waiting because he has to make it pretend like he's going to go ask Josh, who's, like, maybe tied up in a chair somewhere.
I thought he didn't remember it. And he's like, I got it.
He knew it, but he was like, oh, shit, I have to sing that song.
I think he's a good enough actor where he would have had no problem with that, but just interesting, like, way to do it, I guess. Penny Marshall. PM.
But I also think that the young Josh Baskin was not as funny and like Tom Hanks was, which I don't know if that's like a dig against the young actor, but I didn't get the sense that it was the same person necessarily. Like Tom Hanks, Josh Baskin was way funnier, obviously because he's Tom Hanks, but. It's just a slight problem I've always had with this.
Did you feel like, if you've ever seen the movie 13 Going on 30, did you feel like that was successful? Because I feel like Jennifer Garner was too wacky in that, too.
Mm-hmm. Like, way too young still. Because 13, 12 is a very delicate age where you think in your head that you're very old. I know I was a very old 13-year-old, so I was very mature. So yeah, no, that was not successful. Not really.
That's why I think he does such a good job here, because it's not totally wacky. It's just him being like a little bit clueless about stuff and innocent. It's just more like capturing that innocence, not because he was a smart kid. He wasn't clueless. And I think people act like almost like dummies when they try to act like a kid, and that's super patronizing for kids.
It's not how we work.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Anyways, in summation, this movie is one of the great. Hanks, maybe at his best. I feel like this is his best role.
He was nominated for an Oscar, did not win, but let's get real, he has enough, so it's good that he did not win this one. 2, 3?
2.
He's nominated. He's like the Meryl Streep. He's nominated for every movie he does.
But she has like 7 awards, and he has 2.
Well,
I don't know.
two's enough for anybody.
I think Katharine Hepburn has the most.
Okay.
Had the most.
But yeah, if you haven't obviously not seen this, do yourself a gigantic favor and see it immediately. It is a phenomenal film.
So good.
Tom Hanks, I love you. You're my gem.
He's my jam, not my jam. Anyway, listening, this is the Large Marge Sent Us podcast. Later, Gators.
Piano lessons. 3 years. Me too. Every day after school. Chopsticks. What department did you say you were in?
I'm in computers.
Computers?
Yeah.